On the show tonight, we ask the Citizenship Amendment Act protest fueled by misinformation. Do you think what we have seen in the last 1 week or more is justified? And on the show tonight, we have Firoz Bakht Ahmed, Chancellor Maulana Azad National Urdu University, joining us on the show. Also, Sanjay Kumar Singh, senior journalist, and senior Supreme Court advocate Sangram Patnaik joining us on the show. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining us. In fact, I would once again come to Firoz Bakht Ahmed. Yesterday, Chancellor Ahmed, you were on the show and you sent out that appeal to the students' fraternity. To begin with, sir, what's your assessment, the way situation panned out today, especially when we talk about the universities across the country? And having said that, why Seelampur? Where is this really coming from? Yesterday, students grabbed headlines. These protesting students, well, many universities claim that they were outsiders who instigated, grabbed national headlines. Today, we have a specific zone in the national capital like Seelampur, flashpoint of these clashes.
Sakal very rightly said, and let me congratulate this program of yours. In the beginning, you said that some myths were busted. And you are rendering a human service to the cause of the confusion which has been created by some people, who are actually, paying attention to their vested interest. Now, whatever happened in these Trans-Yamuna areas, compare this to the various agitations of students. This is totally a different line I am, finding today. It seems to me that earlier the students were used as fodder by some political people who just did not want any peace in India. And let me tell you one thing, that precisely rather than telling these students what exactly is CAA, they are just trying to misguide them, and a general perception is being created, especially in universities like AMU or Jamia or Maulana Azad National Urdu University, that this is against Muslims, this is against
polarizing.
You. And yes, polarizing, communalizing, very unfortunate thing is going on.
But are university students so naive? I want to take this question to Sanjay. I fail to understand. Why students? What has student body got to do with a legislation? I mean, we all are entitled to our opinion as a nation, whether in the capacity of Indian citizen, I have all the rights to question. But suddenly we see universities, national universities turning into virtual war zones.
That precisely the thing which worries me. I can understand the protest that took place in Assam.
And certain selected universities.
Precisely. Immediately after passage of CAA in Assam, in Tripura, and in parts of other parts of Northeast, because their grievances to an extent was understandable. People coming from those states, Hindu, Muslim, or from other communities, settled there, and they faced a situation, and thereby they were protesting. Now that part is settled now, peace prevails now in those parts of the country. Thereafter we saw West Bengal, and then it suddenly moved on to Jamia Millia Islamia, Aligarh Muslim University, then Nadwa, and then subsequently in support student solidarity, some other institutions also came in support of these things. But precisely it is Jamia and Aligarh Muslim University, Jamia more so because that is in national capital. Any student movement, anybody has, as you said, has right of a certain opinion about his or her own thought process, and more so student body. But if you look at historically, students there have been situations like JP movement, like Bofor's agitation after when BPSM took the cause, then Anna Hazare's, rightly so, then they participated in that. Then you also had some pro and anti-reservation movements, and recently in JNU, that is all understandable, because when you fight for a cause, you actually essentially are
so who is mobilizing students?
Precisely, that is the key question. This does not impact students of Jamia, this does not impact students of AMU.
No, but even if it's outsiders, they bring bad name to a certain national university, whether it is AMU and Jamia. And I, as an Indian citizen, I have a very strong objection to this, Mr. Patnaik, and especially taking this question to Sangram Patnaik. What do you have to say about the very, very pertinent, perhaps very strong observations made by the Supreme Court today on this entire matter?
See, my point straight away, the wisdom of the parliamentarians, the floor of the house which have been discussed, passed, a bill has been enacted and has become an act. you can have certainly a process to, you can have a protest which is more democratic way, but certainly not on the roads of this country where you decide that yes, this is not the proper act. It has been passed, it has now become an enactment and an act, has a sanctity of a statue. You can certainly say that yes, this is objectionable, you have a right to protest, but not on the ground of section 19, but particularly the article 19, subclause 2 and 3, there is a restriction. You might be having fundamental right, article 14, read with 21, you would say that yes, you have the right to life, liberty, you have a right to protest, no difficulty. But that cannot be.
Sangram Patnaik, but
Yes.
the opposition, remember the way this was debated, if I may use the word debated in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, the opposition kept on hammering this point. It is
Right, sir.
unconstitutional, it violates your right to equality and so on and so forth. As a lawyer, what's the view on this? Does it really? Because rhetoric and the facts, they're two different things.
See, I would say that with regard to the passing of a amendment in the flow, that you cannot deny that yes, see at times there a debate comes that yes, whether the judiciary can interfere and intervene. Answer is no. The wisdom of the parliament, once it is passed, you cannot possibly question. Yes, the legality, sanctity and the viability can be questioned in the court of law, not on the roads, that the strikes, there is lot of hullabaloo and there is lot of commotion, there is lot of, the force, like yesterday, all this flashing in the media that is the bus says the roads and everything has been totally put into the chaos. So my only point is, you might have a good debate on the floor, not on the road where you would say that, there is a specific statute for it.
But on roads, there's no debate. These
No,
are clashes.
that's what I'm
These
saying.
Yes.
That's an agitation from
Sanjay,
nowhere.
Yes, Sanjay, come in here because agitation from nowhere, but we do know that the agitation is coming, or perhaps it's being fueled from somewhere, and it is just not the fake news or the misinformation campaign that the government maintains is doing rounds. There's more to it that meets the eye, Sanjay.
This is misleading, motivated building of narrative that has in fact caused some kind of tension and confusion in minds of these people. Young students are impressionable minds, and particularly when you create a fear psychosis, particularly in those areas, universities where predominantly Muslim students from Muslim community are studying there, and we have seen agitation coming from those areas. And also when, see, Jamia for instance is very close to Jamia Nagar, and when Vice Chancellor says don't bring bad name to Jamia, nobody is targeting Jamia University and bringing bad name for Jamia. But fact remains, when students get misguided, when from misleading propaganda by vested interests, supposing we saw a tweet by Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, and subsequently that was proved to be false, whereby he had said that look, policemen are
Burning the buses.
burning
Chancellor,
the
please,
buses.
yes, please make a point. Yes, go ahead, sir.
And same thing we saw today in Silampur and Jafrabad. That again is result of that misleading, misinformed or motivated campaign by vested interests.
I think media also plays a very important role
Precisely.
here. There are, Chancellor Ahmed, look at the number of videos that are making rounds, whether in social media, they're all in public domain, and on the basis of that, we form perceptions, we form opinion, and today you had Delhi Police categorically stating that, look, we were appealing, but then what happened outside Jamia? There are two set of narratives. There are two set of stories. Whom to believe?
Absolutely, you see, Sakal, let me start on this. So far as the police action or violence against
The police
students
says
was
it's
concerned,
well orchestrated,
I am not
it's a
with that. Yes,
conspiracy.
absolutely, absolutely. But what we saw today in Trans-Yamuna areas of Welcome Colony and other places, the way the police people were, they were followed, they were hit, and I even saw that one policeman from behind, he was hit on the shoulder and then he was caught from the neck. Now what we see in Kashmir, this was happening on the streets of Delhi. This is something which is very, very alarming and very dangerous. What I believe is all this is happening at the behest of those political parties and politicians who have lost their ground, and all those political parties and politicians who actually believe in vote bank politics. They actually, you see, Modi, the way Modi is going strong, the way Modi has actually led India to to a point of glory, these people are not able to absorb that. They are not able to actually
No,
accept
but
that.
haven't we gone too far, Sanjay Kumar? Haven't we gone too far on CAA? The way the violence on this, the clashes on this continue unabated. Well, we had Mamata Banerjee once again hitting the streets. Well, we understand Assam, like you just mentioned, because of its geographical positioning. But then one doesn't really understand why Delhi and why these Muslim universities. Why?
Sakal, precisely that's why they are changing the narrative.
And the election angle to it.
Precisely. Delhi, we all know elections are going to follow. Election would be announced anytime soon. I think on conclusion of Jharkhand Assembly elections. Today in Zafrabad, in Silampur area, I believe Chaudhry Mateen, who was a Congress leader, had organized a rally today, and subsequent to that, this thing has happened. And then Congress is also trying to find some ground in Delhi. Therefore, yesterday you saw Priyanka Gandhi Vadra sitting on protest in Delhi. And Aam Aadmi Party, of course, is there, then BJP, of course, is there.
But is this not purely for optics?
This is also for optics and mobilizing their cadre
Yes,
support.
yes.
But then the question that you asked, when you realize that your initial propaganda that you are making is proving somehow, according to your understanding, is proving to be counterproductive, because this is leading to a polarizing situation
Yes.
on a communal divide.
Yes.
And then suddenly Jamia flashes up, and then you pick up a point and say
Isn't
police
this a very
atrocity.
dangerous-
After
police
Priyanka,
atrocity.
Sonia also
Yes.
made a point. Sonia also said, she discussed this Jamia police brutality, fine, but she did not see the brutality with the police by those people in that Welcome Colony area, in that Silampur area. I mean, you have to be balanced, and I do not know what she was cooking up, whether she was indulging in vote bank politics or whatever, but what Sanjay has rightly mentioned, that Congress has totally lost its ground, and they are finding some opportunity for them. I think this
But
is
is
a
this, Mr.
guilt-edged opportunity
Yeah.
to actually
Sakra Patnaik,
portray
is this
their
going to
point
really
of view.
fetch anyone anything?
See, my point is, today, for example, the Supreme Court rightly remanded the matter back to the High Courts, and that has to be decided. Only the time would speak when the evidence come. Who is wrong, who is right? Because the media, the reviews, the projection that has coming into the media of late, I mean, last 2 days, somehow or other, I feel that maybe it is distracted, maybe it is not correct, but how to decide that yes, the students or the police is correct, because there are almost so many, the cameras are intact in the campus. So to say that yes, the students.
You have a 3-minute 61-second footage released by police also today, and a very logical point comes here that if you have students outnumbering police, attacking police, what will police do?
Say Section 3 and Section 4 of the Prevention of the Damage to the Public Property Act, right? There is an act in place. Suppose you have done it, you have to be penalized for it after the trial. But today, to jump in the conclusion that the police is wrong, there is a high-handedness. I do not think.
But the videos that are in the public domain, I mean, we're not attributing to what those videos, but then Sanjay, especially you, because you cannot control this. I'm talking about social media, whether it's fake or not, and circulation, the Twitter and Facebook and all of that. There were certain very disturbing videos that surfaced Sunday evening, and that is something which set a narrative that this is what happened that evening.
This is precisely an attempt to build a narrative in the belief that you have, and therefore whatever police action, the counter question that I am asking, what was police supposed to do
Yes.
when this kind of arson, vandalization, rioting was taking place, and also looting of private property and damage of public property? Was police supposed to stay there and be in Namaste pose or react to that particular situation? Police, if it does something, is condemned. If it actually does not do in a situation like
You think
this,
it is
West Bengal,
orchestrated?
they
Do you
did not
think-
do anything, and
Okay.
therefore you perhaps were living in a made-believe situation that whatever I do, police will not react. That there was a law and order situation at hand. The police officers out there decided to act in a certain manner.
In
People
fact, they were
will
quite
burst inside.
restrained.
Yes,
as
the point
rightly-
coming in from Chastrabak, yes.
No, what I heard one police officer yesterday, and he said that we worked with a lot of restraint. Of course, barring the incident of the entry into the university, I think they might not have entered the university, but because those hooligans and those people who were indulging in arson and loot, they entered in the university, so they had to enter the university. I mean, Supreme Court, and Sangram will appreciate it, Supreme Court has allowed this thing. If there is this kind of a vandalizing act, the police can go to any place, anybody's house, anybody's office or university, whatever. So police actually, the way the police was announcing, oh yes, students are throwing stones upon us,
yes.
they are in a huge
Sangram would like to react to that.
obviously, you know, police is responsible for retaining law and order. They had to take action. If you are burning buses, motorcycles, cars and things like that, police has to take action. And I appreciate, barring that incident of entering into the university and beating the students, that they took a lot of restraint, and had they been into bullets, I think many casualties would have taken place, and then people would have been cursing our country.
Yes, Sangram.
See, my take on this is that you know, the police, with all restraint, that you know, this the couple of minutes, this video footage, which has been very clear, with all restraint, they have done their duty. Now suppose something goes wrong, you cannot put the entire blame on the police administration.
No, but
number one.
okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Number two is that suppose tomorrow you find that yes, there is something is wrong, no difficulty, but you cannot certainly today reach to the conclusion. My only point is this, that requires the trial. That is why the Supreme Court said that yes, you go back to the respective High Court, where we will not go into this issue that yes, we should appoint a committee.
The court has also said that we are not going to rely on just media reports,
Precisely.
newspaper reports.
Exactly.
That's a very strong
Exactly.
point made by the court today, and don't expect us to behave like a trial court, Sanjay.
Yeah, precisely. And Supreme Court, I think rightly, and for everything, if you rush to Supreme Court has made right observations. Those observations are now in public domain. The big question is, if I really don't appreciate whatever police says, always I tend to believe that, but then there are situations, and then why should, if we question police's version, we should also question the version coming out from Jamia student community, from other people, teachers community, and also some others. We also tend to question and take with a pinch of salt eyewitnesses' statements. And because you want to unleash certain kind of narrative and believe in that situation.
You want to twist CAA?
Precisely.
Yes. So Chancellor Ahmed, it is essentially, the way we see it, not really a war or perhaps counter arguments coming in from students' body of any university for that matter versus police. That is not the question. This is an attempt to make this police versus students on CAA, but then the larger ploy is politics over it.
Exactly, Sakal, you see the
it
way
is not about what police did,
Yes,
but the police
yes.
action was
See,
right.
see.
They said that we maintained calm and there was no excess, but then there are videos suggesting contrary. So
one policeman was announcing that we are there for your safety and security, to see that you are safe and sound. He was making these announcements. Now you see, there must have been something that police actually entered the campus, because you know, all these students who are saying that yes, the protest was peaceful, fine. Students, as Sanjay has also mentioned, that in the history of India and maybe the history of the world, there have been very important student movements, whether it was JP movement or Bofo's movement, many other movements, even in Hong Kong. But
is Citizenship Amendment Act students' movement essentially?
Precisely.
No.
That
But
is
what
not
I mean to
considered.
say
Are we
is
trying to
that
make it one?
you know,
Are we trying to make
see,
this into
Sakal-
one?
Sakal,
No,
the-
but sir, this question is important. Are we trying? When I say we don't know where it comes from, the vested interests. Well, the opposition is on the target on this.
Certainly
and
it is
there's a
from the
double
vested
speak.
interest and the opposition. I can vouch that.
Yes. please
I
do.
can vouch that. And especially in Delhi, what I feel is that, you know, the AAP party, in fact, which also has lost some ground, because every day we can see full page posters, in fact, you know, advertisements in each and every language newspaper, and we do not know how much work they have done.
Okay.
I mean, except what Manish Sisodia says, that some schools have been improved, but otherwise not a lot of work has been done. Maybe this is, you know, maybe that AAP is behind this, I do not know, but certainly some political vested interest is behind it, that they want to violate
We
this
talked
kind
about
of
it yesterday also, but political vested interest, Sanjay, university students are scholars, they are, you know, they pursue their masters and MPhils and PhD, they're not naive, they know what's happening.
Precisely. That's why I said, when a situation
They may
is
not
created,
follow a certain ideology, but
Precisely.
then, yes, on the basis of
a
misinformation.
fear psychosis is created, they are misinformed, they are not just misinformed but misled. by motivated agendas. What I also found very interesting during debate in Rajya Sabha, when we know that NDA does not have majority, they have to cobble up a majority by bringing on some kind of consensus or make other parties come in agreement with that, and they succeeded in that particular test. And on floor of the house, Congress leaders are saying we are going to challenge this. Then you have other set of leaders who are going to say, who said we will not implement this in our state. Then you have a whole lot of Congress chief ministers, Mamata Banerjee and Kerala chief minister, declaring that this will not be applicable in their state. This is a central law. This is amendment of constitution where Union of India has sole right on citizenship issue. That is also constitutionally flawed, as also the kind of momentum that you want to create to say that we are protector of one community, and therefore when you do that, there is a polarization. When you polarize something, there is a counter polarization. When the counter polarization happens,
I'll just try to wrap it up. Sanjay has very rightly used the word polarized. The worst fallout of this agitation.
No, but Rahul Gandhi also said that the government is using this to polarize, but it is the opposition.
See, it is not the government. One can understand. We are, we know who is polarizing. Basically, the thing is, the worst thing is happening. They are trying to create a situation of civil war between Hindus and Muslims. Something that was there in 1947. So Muslims and Hindus, they have to be worried, they have to be very concerned that this kind of a situation should not be created. On November 9, when Hindus and Muslims, they actually shook hands on that landmark decision by the Supreme Court on Mandir and Masjid, and everything, nobody celebrated victory, nobody thumped their chest, and nobody shed tears. So that ambience had been done away with some politicians with vested interest.
Their politics, but you cannot change facts. I'm sorry, that's all we have time for. The facts pertaining to Citizenship Amendment Act, about which Prime Minister has again and again and reiterated that it is not about taking your rights or your citizenship, it's only about giving, and minorities and the entire nation, the citizens of the country, their interests are safeguarded. And Prime Minister has said it on multiple platforms, on multiple occasions. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the show tonight.